Welcome to This Week in West Hempstead, sponsored by Spiegel Law PC 516-873-1683, Tiffany Dry Cleaners, and Reister's Bakery. Here are your hosts, David and Norm. Take it away, gentlemen.
All right. Thank you, Dan. So we're doing remote today, a little bit different. And if you notice, Norm is not here. And sitting in for Norm, we have John Ackerman, who's another West Hempstead longtime resident. And he's also a member of the podcast, The Carpool Guys. So welcome, John.
Thanks so much for having me. This is great.
And we're looking forward to getting some of your perspectives on stuff. Before we even go in, I just had an annoyance just turning on the radio. In this case, 1010 wins or 92.3 or whatever the heck it is these days. Who listens to radio? But
apparently you do, but that's it. But okay,
I do. I think I'm the only one, and probably the only one that still gets a paper delivered. So when they go to the traffic report, and again, who listens to radio traffic? But they mentioned there was another accident this morning on I think it was the off ramp of exit 17 on the Southern State Parkway. It's at this point just an ongoing daily occurrence. Southern State is becoming, just a real problem that needs some sort of, draconian type of solution. John, you're the carpool guy, so you must be doing a lot of driving. What are your thoughts on the Southern State these days?
It's pretty crazy because, like you said, you wake up in the morning and there seems to always be bad news on the Southern State. There's never a time where we wake up and good news, everybody. The Southern State doing great today. It usually is. There's something that happened, and unfortunately, it sounds like there's always something serious that happened. It's not like little fender benders.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I like you said, there's a big study I think that needs to be done, and some sort of probably larger scale solution. But
it's interesting. They've done tons of studies. Newsday had an extensive thing last year about accidents across Long Island, and of course.
Right.
Southern State was a glaring item. The thing, there's technology today, whether it's sensors, drones, other things that you can clamp down on these, racing cars that are going 120 miles an hour, and we know who they are, and we have the technology to do it. It's like we need better solutions. And there's such a limited amount of state troopers on the highway, and all these things combined, drivers know it's lawlessness, and it's Thunderdome, and
it's so crazy. And I'm totally with you. In fact, last night I was actually driving carpool, as you mentioned, and I had a van full of kids in the car, and two of these cars were drag racing down the Southern State, and it's crazy because you could hear them kind of coming up behind, and then you saw them weaving in and out of traffic, and the kids themselves were just really shocked at what they saw. Like, what are they doing? Why are they doing that? That looks crazy, and it's kind of like, yeah, it looks insane when you see it happening. Do you not get that?
Yeah, it's a chronic issue. It needs comprehensive solutions.
and if I'm not mistaken, we talked about this probably a month or two back. They were doing some sort of campaign. They were putting more troopers out there, and I mean, it was only supposed to last for a short amount of time. I suspect those troopers are back at other duties again, which means, guess what? It's open season back on the Southern State Raceway.
So Dan, there was a story local regarding Hempstead, again, not West Hempstead,
Not West
but
Hempstead.
that really caused us all to pause. You want to give us some background on that?
Yeah, so obviously this is school related. Everybody calm down. There's no re-election happening here, but there is a new election going to happen for the Hempstead School Board. Because, and this story came out in the papers in the last couple of days, a clerk somewhere in the Hempstead School District apparently threw a bunch of ballots in the garbage to help somebody else win election, right? They
Wow.
were
Wait,
clearly.
is that a problem? Is that a problem?
I guess it might be. The part that look, whatever. Why you would want to do election fraud for a Hempstead school district that's in all kinds of trouble, I don't know. Um, the thing that nobody can quite understand about this is they apparently found um a bunch of these ripped up ballots. The original vote was, I don't know, very, very close, like 50 or 60 votes. They found the ballots sitting in this person's office. Like, as somebody else
Wow.
said, if you're going to commit fraud like this, take these ballots, find a backyard fire pit, and set them on fire.
So,
But
Dan, what you're saying is if you're going to be a criminal, we want you to be a better criminal.
correct. Now, I will
Okay.
say, as an aside, I've been saying this for years. Like, I can't understand what people are willing to go to jail for. If you're going to
Right.
go to jail for Madoff money, right? $60 billion is worth considering going to jail. Stuff like this, I don't get it. I don't understand this. This district is clearly it's a horror show over there. I have no other understanding for this. So they're going to be running a new school board election over there apparently within the next 60 days, which obviously has some ripple effect for West Hempstead because again that charter school we've talked about before is
Yeah.
probably somewhere in the mix. But this is insanity.
Wow. It sounds insane. And again, not destroying your, or at least even taking an attempt to cover your tracks seems crazy in itself. I mean, the whole act is crazy. Don't people remember the history? Fawn Hall.
Right,
Anyway,
right. That's
you can
that's because
Google
we're
it.
old.
Yeah. But it's nuts. So let's just stay on the local election track. Dan, how did we do at the polls?
I honestly don't know. This would be
Okay.
this would be my rant turnout because I believe that um turnout was next to nothing, and this is with early voting, which started whatever it was a week or so before. Um, I will admit I went down. But because I have chosen not to register with either party, I was not actually eligible to vote. But I when I spoke to the poll worker there, she said that Tuesday, which was election day, again, it was primaries for various seats around congressional seats, controller, stuff like that. She said almost nobody had been in all day. I
Wow.
Yeah, you know that in itself is just such an. First of all, elections should all be on the same day. Spreading out this whole thing is nonsensical.
Right.
Having all these early elections, you literally have a group of people just sitting around staring at each other in gyms and conference rooms and libraries doing absolutely nothing, and whatever. Yeah,
It's
it's
tough. I think a lot of people just kind of look at this and they're like, it doesn't matter. Like when you see some of the, even though we know every couple of years there's a super close election and when there's something that everybody's excited about or passionate about, unfortunately, a lot of the years, um, the votes kind of go in a direction where people feel like their vote doesn't matter or they don't really understand what some of these positions even are. And a lot of times you kind of go through swoons of apathy where it's like, well, you know, I was excited a couple years ago. I don't really care now. I don't recognize the names and I don't even know what these people do. So why should I be bothered
yeah.
to spend the time?
Yep. I mean,
Well,
there's some ripple stuff. There's a lot of stuff in the news about the elections within the five boroughs of New York City.
Yeah.
Certainly a lot of chatter about um, who won these races and what the potential implications are. One of the things they call out there as well is it's the same thing here. Turnout was extremely low, and it's only very motivated people who gathered themselves to go out and vote. and the potential ripple effects come the November elections for these seats when, one party is putting up X type of person and the other's putting up a Y type of person. Again, it's really hard to convince people to come out for it's hard to get them for the regular elections. Forget about for the primaries. So who knows what'll be.
Uh, yeah, you know what? Everyone in the pool. I'm done with elections. It's just nonsensical. Um, you know, our parents and grandparents have fought for democracy and for the right to vote. People just forget about it and they take it for granted, and you get what you get. I mean, it is what it is. So
Yep.
not so good.
At Tiffany Dryer Cleaners, we make garment care simple with amazing customer service, environmentally safe detergents, and free pickup and delivery right to your home or your office. Call or text or WhatsApp Jeff at 718-309-5222. Schedule your convenient pickup and delivery.
We had a post up. Adam had posted something from the pool earlier this week, about the outdoor pool and how amazing it was. We got a huge response on Facebook. So, town of Hempstead is right like a broken clock twice a day. And so here they did a pretty good job on repairing the pool and holding up their commitment to get it going by Father's Day, and it looks amazing. So it's good for West Hempstead.
Although I think there's still questions about whether or not we want them to put some trees or bushes up along the side of Nassau Boulevard.
We always have that issue. It could be such a great looking park like experience. You don't have to necessarily be driving down Nassau Boulevard and have to, you can look down at the pool. It's nice, but the people who are at the pool, they don't want to necessarily see the cars. Put some trees up there.
Yeah.
It'll look nicer.
Has that been a discussion that's just kind of gone nowhere, or?
We've been talking. It's good for us because it's a good talking point, all the time. I don't know if the town of Hempstead has plans to beautify the pool. It seems like the last few years they've been completely preoccupied with maintaining it and just keeping the status quo. They don't do a great job of pushing new things or new initiatives. As we always complain about the gym, which is circa 1973. And the whole men's locker room situation is a disaster, and they don't seem to, if it works, it's like okay, but doing plantings and beautification and moving it forward just doesn't seem to be in their schedule. I don't know.
It sounds like, kind of going back a couple minutes, if Echo Park would have been one of the topics that was involved in debates in the elections, maybe we would have had more turnout.
That's possible.
I think running on a platform of we're going to plant the trees and fix the gym might have pushed the elections into the spotlight more.
Absolutely. Yep. But keep in mind, repairing, the linings of pools, as we see in the national arena, is not necessarily a straightforward thing. So the fact that they got it right doing it here, and yet there's a whole bunch of issues or controversies or who knows regarding what's going on in DC with the reflecting pool. Whatever.
Dangerous territory for us, I would say. But
I'm not sure. I like to keep things, as local.
Well, since we're on the subject of water, maybe you should fill us in.
Don't go there.
We have to. Let's talk about Liberty Water, shall we?
Yeah. I'll throw that to John because, we've complained enough sort of from the outside about Liberty Water, but John is actually a customer of Liberty Water. So, John, tell us what's going on.
Where to start? First of all, it's hilarious. I've been a customer of Liberty Water, and before that, I think it was American Water.
Yeah.
And I remember moving to West Hempstead, And you meet people and you have lunches and barbecues and you're talking, and inevitably, you jump onto really exciting topics like property taxes and and water bills. And I remember people are like, "Oh my God, yeah, the water here is so cheap." And I'm sort of like, "What are you talking about? I pay through the nose." Like, oh, you're one of those. You have American water. I'm like, what does that mean? And like, oh yeah, if you live in one half of West Hempstead, you pay basically nothing for months at a time. And if you live on the other side of West Hempstead, like, where's the demarcation line? Nobody knows. You basically like got to get another mortgage to pay for your water. And the kicker on, sorry, I know you're like,
no,
John,
this is
fun.
This is what we live for. Go ahead.
It's like the kicker of this whole thing is they send out these surveys saying, we want to hear from you. We would love you to be an ambassador. We want you to be a community ambassador. I'm like, community ambassador, I can't send my kids to college because of how much money I'm paying for water. You want me to be an ambassador for you? Like, are you out of your mind? And, we send the email back and it's like, no, I'm not going to be an ambassador because I can't afford to do anything because of your water prices. And thank you for your feedback. And then all you hear is, guess what? Guess what's coming down the pipeline?
Literally.
We're raising rates again. And what do? You live here. We love West Hempstead. I love West Hempstead. We all love West Hempstead. But on top of the fact that our property taxes are kind of out of control, which is, I'm sure, something we've spoken about on previous episodes, but this is, where do you even start with Liberty? Because they don't care what we have to say. So what do you do? I don't even know where to begin here.
Yeah. It's one of the crazy pieces of this whole story, and I'm not sure I have all the details right, but it's been years that Nassau County and or the town of Hempstead have been looking into taking over Liberty Water, like and having discussions or meetings or whatever, and it's like, how long does it? First of all, you decide what you want to do. Number one, and number two, how about stepping into something that's just not working? Not only in West Hempstead, but for a large portion of Nassau County, having a water company that's a company and not a utility doesn't work. And these rate hikes are insane. It's got to get resolved, but I think the government really has to step in.
I'm broadly in favor of capitalism, but this is one of those circumstances where it makes no sense to me that one person on one side of the street is paying X and on the other side of the street is paying 15 or 20 times that for the same water coming from the same sources. It makes no sense. And look, Liberty Water is a for-profit company, right? They're in the business of making sure their shareholders have money. That's great, but this is something that affects a huge number of people in town. And yeah, I'd love to see the county or somebody get involved.
Really, what gets me with this whole thing is that, Dan, like you mentioned, one guy on one side of the street pays one thing, and on the other side of the street you pay something else. When you move here, there's really no way, somebody moving to West Hempstead or to another town that has Liberty Water, you don't even know to ask about that, right?
Yep.
Like, that there are certain things you can ask, like how much does, if you're on oil heat, what does it typically cost? There are certain costs that you associate with buying a house as a homeowner that you can really, it's normal. Like, kind of what internet's going to cost. You kind of know what, electricity. Okay, electricity is different home to home. But when you're looking at water, nobody who's purchasing their first home is sitting there thinking, I really need to account for the cost of water because, hey, water prices are really skyrocketing these days. And it really is, it's an ambush. And it feels shameless. And I agree. We got to do something because the current system is it's so out of control, ridiculous with no logic to it that how can it possibly continue?
All right. Well, somebody get John Ferretti on the phone. Let's see if we can't get something to happen here.
Let's do it next episode.
There you go.
All right. It's nuts. We got the America 250 program coming up at the library June 29th. That's on Monday at 7 p.m. The historian Jim Ward is going to take people through a lot of the history regarding the Revolutionary War. Sounds pretty interesting.
Yep. Some stuff going on at the federal level seems to be a little more peculiar, but there's plenty of other news sources if you want to check out on the federal level US 250 celebrations. I will say, again, as an old person here, I remember 1976 being different. I remember it
Yeah.
sort of being a little more nationally, everybody was on board. I was a small kid at the time, but I don't feel like right now I'm necessarily seeing that at the national level.
No, 100%, and I specifically, as you say, you're old. I'm a little bit older than
Little bit.
you. I remember watching the flotilla, which went up the Hudson, and there was all these tall ships from all over the world. My family went to Riverdale, and we got to see the tall ships. But I think to your point, like everyone came out, and the whole country was, in a much more unified place than in 1976 than we are today. And it's a weird feeling. I got to be honest.
Yep.
We all feel it. A warning to everyone as we get closer to July 4th, the fireworks are gonna really start to pound, and I'm sure this year it's gonna be no different. Hide your kids, hide your dogs. It's not going to be pretty.
Well, considering that as usual, people have started ahead of schedule. They're doing practice runs. I heard a couple last week. So, although admittedly, some of it was after the Knicks win. So there you go. But we can always count on people in this town to spend their money on fireworks.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I feel like a little bit the old man sometimes because I complain because the fireworks wake up my kids, and then I get a lot of pushbacks. Stop being such an old man. Why can't we have fun? I'm just like, have fun not at 11:30 at night.
Yeah. So welcome. We are your people, because I think we're in agreement there.
Love it.
Yeah.
Maybe on the way out, Dave, I have a little bit of Reesters I can share.
Yeah.
So Reesters is back with peaches. So they have all sorts of peach stuff on sale this week. Danishes, muffins, peach cake. Their peach ring cake is back on sale and can be ordered online, ourbakery.com. So head over to Reesters and pick up something peach if that's what's calling to you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
love
Dan,
Reesters.
So Dan, is Reesters making a change where you can order some select items online?
I did not. I didn't want to let it out of the bag too soon, but there are some things coming down the road where you can order online and just go in and do in-store pickup. And the nice part about that is it's going to expand beyond the list of things that they can ship. So if you suddenly decide, hey, I'd like to order something and not have to spend a lot of time there figuring it out, there'll be some things you can order online, go in, there'll be a place to pick it up, show your receipt, you can pick up and be in and out quickly. So some good stuff coming down the road with Reesters.
That's amazing.
Give me all of the Reesters. I'm a huge fan.
And this is why I look the way that I look, but that's we'll leave it at that.
Wow, this has been a real spirited podcast. John, I want to thank you for jumping in and providing us with perspective. Again, John does this Carpool Guys thing. John, maybe you want to just tell us a little bit about what the Carpool Guys podcast is about?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I am the co-host and producer of the Carpool Guys podcast, and it's three dads from West Hempstead. My co-hosts are Asher Doretsky and Dave Tannenbaum. Dave from the library board. He's a trustee of the library, by the way. I know he loved the West Hempstead Library.
So you must love me.
He's, Dave's open to everything. He's an open-minded guy. But We have a lot of fun. We cover just a lot of life topics, a little bit of news, but a lot of kind of what's on our minds. Sometimes we do some interviews. We just had comedian Ellie Leibowitz on the show, and that was a blast. But if you're looking for some good, clean, meaningful fun, check out the Carpool Guys podcast, and we would love to hear from people. So you can find us on Instagram at Carpool Guys Pod, and find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right. Sounds great. And thank you, John.
Thank you.
I think, that's it. Maybe I'll go catch some soccer or football or whatever the heck they call it. By the way, I still don't understand all the rules. It's
all good. The U.S. is going to face Bosnia-Herzegovina in the next round. So if you are following the U.S. team, frankly, it's the Scots that have been giving me the most amusement, is because they're like, they tore Boston up and had a great time, which is amazing.
Yes.
But I know nothing about it.
U.S. versus Bosnia, classic rivalry.
Well, I will say the last time Bosnia-Herzegovina was in U.S. news is not really a good conversation, but hopefully things are good, and whatever, your football podcast is probably elsewhere because we're not qualified.
All right, so I think that'll be a wrap for this week in West Hempstead. Thank you, John. Thank you, Dan. I want to wish everyone a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Please be sure to visit our sponsors, Spiegel Law PC, Tiffany Dry Cleaners, and Reister's Bakery. To find out more or to reach out to us, come visit us on social media at Facebook and Instagram, or visit our website at westhempsteadecho.com.